Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to the success story session. Today with us we have Mr. Santhosh who has cleared the RBI Grade B in this year, that is in 2022 only. And you will be very excited to know his strategy for how he came to clear the RBI Grade B, because he was the SBI PU. He was working in SBI and still he was able to manage clearing the RBI Grade B. So how was he able to manage clearing the RBI Grade B while working? So as a working aspirant, you must be very excited to know his strategy and how he juggled between the two things. So first of all, heartiest congratulations to you, sir, for clearing RBI Grade B.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So let's start with your educational background. Can you tell a little to the aspirants that what was your education background?
Yeah. I've completed mechanical engineering from College of Engineering DT in 2018. And post that, I started preparing for civil services exam. And I just gave one attempt at it. I was able to clear prelims, but not mains. So that is when I thought maybe I'll find a job and then start preparing for civil services. So I thought the banking sector is the sector that offers me job in quick time. So I thought of giving banking exams, and I happened to clear multiple exams in the banking sector. And I eventually joined as probationary officer in State Bank of India, and I'm presently working as PO over there.
Okay. And from like working in SBI, you came to know about the RBI and you wanted to join that?
Yeah. When it comes to getting awareness about the RBI exam, people who are working in the banking sector, for all of them, they'll be having an eye over that exam. So because all of them, they know the pressure that is there in working in banking sector. So they are very much aware about the opportunities and all the other things that RBI offers, and all of them will be eyeing at that exam. So just like all of them, I was also motivated to prepare for that exam, and I eventually happened to give that exam and clear it.
In which year did you join the SBI as a PO?
Yes, yeah, in 2021, actually in Jan, I entered SBI as a junior associate. And then in about one and a half months, my PO results came, and I resigned and joined as PO there. That's it.
Okay. And when did you start the RBI Grade B preparation, if you
Yeah.
remember?
To be precise, exactly from January last year.
Okay.
That is the notification of the last year's RBI Grade B came, and from then only I started preparing for RBI.
Okay. So we can say that while joining, like while working only, you were able to prepare for the RBI Grade B. You were preparing for RBI Grade B. So how are you able to juggle between the two work? Because we know that the work in the banking sector is not very easy also. It is time consuming. So how were you able to get the time for the preparation?
See, as far as time is concerned, we have to look at the requirements of this exam. When it comes to the phase one part of it, I was already prepared. So that way, in spite of being a working aspirant, I was finding it easy. So since I am already a probationary officer, I've cleared multiple exams. So I need not have to prepare anything specifically apart from updating my current affairs. So which I did it, and my primary source was Affairs Cloud and Hindu newspaper for that. So I did nothing except from updating my current affairs. So because if you see the quants reasoning and English, I'm already prepared. Even before I started my RBI preparation, because I have already cleared multiple exams in banking sector. So that way I found it very much easy for clearing phase one. So when it comes to phase two, my primary source was EduTap. I referred to that, and for ESI, I'm already prepared because since I've already said that I am a civil services aspirant, ESI is taken care right there itself. So that way I was saved. So, just like any other aspirant, I also ignored descriptive English as well. I didn't prepare anything, and then only the only thing that I prepared specifically being a working aspirant is FM part. That was quite new to me, and I referred completely the EduTap material for it to prepare.
Okay, so you have given a good overview of the preparation that you have done. Though we will be doing we will be discussing the phase one strategy, then phase two strategy, and then we will discuss about the interview strategy in depth. Uh, but you have given a good overview that you were in the phase one specifically. The QRE part was quite easy for you because you have already prepared for the other examinations that required that part. But when we talk about the quant, especially, that is quite different in the banking examinations and the RBI, if I say so. So, how are you how can aspirants manage that?
Um, Predominantly, if I say about the quants part, if one is prepared for SBI PO mains,
Hmm.
then it is only up to that level, I guess.
Okay.
I don't think it is more than that. If people are very much comfortable in knowing the concepts rather than just mugging up formulas or something like that, they'll just pick away the right questions. In 30 questions, I can confidently say that at least 10 questions one can answer if they are able to pick the right questions,
Okay.
especially one DI they have to attend. They'll be having 2 or 3 DIs.
Hmm.
In that, even in RBI Grade B prelims quant section, even though all are saying that it is very tough, in my opinion, in that 3 or 4 DIs, one DI will be easier.
Hmm.
So they have to pick that DI. 5 questions, if they can pick that 5 questions, they are getting right there. So another 5 questions they have to pick here and there, and then they'll be able to secure at least 10 marks, which is very much sufficient to clear that cutoff.
Okay. And that is like you have given a very good strategy for the quant, especially that first of all, your concepts have to be cleared, and then you do not have to worry a lot about that. So the concept should be clear, as well as the second point is that you have to choose the questions. You have to pick the questions, the correct questions that you want to answer, and then everything will be better in the quant preparation. So you have to have the strategy for the choosing the question, picking the questions in the examination, and having the conceptual clarity. Then you do not need to worry much about the quant part. So, and now I think coming to the current affairs now, quant reasoning and English, we can say that it was kind of covered through your preparation previously. But now coming to that particular current affairs, so that is quite factual, you have to remember a lot. So how are you able to cover that current affairs?
When it comes to preparing for current affairs, I had multiple sources. One is the Hindu newspaper, and even in that newspaper, I didn't read it from first page to last page, the entire thing. I just referred my syllabus, and I stuck to the syllabus. I didn't, venture out in reading all those non-related stuff. Instead, I just focus more on government schemes and editorial opinions, and then finance and banking, those kind of news, especially the whatever the notifications that RBI brings out. So people have to be very much clear in those things rather than just reading the whole newspaper completely. So that is one primary source for me, and then I coupled it up with the current affairs magazine of Affairs Club. And even in Affairs Cloud, they have to be choosy. They have to just pick and read all those important topics. Just for example, that government schemes, RBI news, banking and finance, economy and business, and index, the index and reports and indices. So these are all the sections that are asked in exams like RBI. So they have to be choosy, and they have to read only these and not spend time on any other unrelated stuffs.
Okay. So now specifically for the phase one like GA, how many month of the current affairs do you think is necessary or required?
Yeah, in my opinion, one can feel safe if they can prepare at least 4 months before the day of prelims. And especially if the prelims happens on, for example, 21st, they have to be very much confident about at least 1 week prior to that. Even until 14th of that month, questions would come. As that is I'm saying it based on my experience in giving these exams. So they are asking very recent news also.
Okay. And like you said that the 4 months are enough. And now coming to how many times of revision is necessary for the examination for the GA part?
Ideally, multiple revisions, but being a working aspirant, I was maybe able to give at the most 1 or 2 revisions only. If they have read it very well, 1 or 2 revisions is sufficient. Yeah, that is sufficient in my opinion.
Okay. And like you started your preparation for January from January 2021.
I've referred to multiple preparation strategies before, just like I'm giving one right now. In many of those strategies, I was told that starting with FM is the right strategy
Mm.
as far as preparing for RBI's exam is concerned. So I also started with the same, especially I started with management
Mm.
because that was something that was completely new to me. And moreover, I was told that it was very much scoring as well. So I started with management and then eventually I touched upon finance. Being a working aspirant working in SBI, my finance was already taken care in my work as well because uh, over the course of my work, I have to learn JIBC, and all those things are very much related with the syllabus of RBI. So that way, I was getting covered with the syllabus there.
Okay. So we can say like we have talked about the phase one as well as we have talked about where to start. If you are starting and the notification is not out or something, you should start with from the static part because you are not you know that that is going to come for sure. So management first when you are starting without the notification, at least you can start with the management part, then move to the finance part because those are the static concepts that have been given in the syllabus. So now I think we can move to the phase two strategy and starting with the ESI. So, what were your sources, or how were you able to prepare that?
As far as ESI is concerned, my source was pre-decided because I'm a UPSC aspirant. I didn't refer to any other source. When I was preparing for civil services, I went to a coaching institute back in 2018. So that content was sufficient enough. I didn't refer to anything else apart from updating my current affairs and government schemes and things like that. So there was no source for me. Maybe I referred here and there to EduTap source as well, just for brushing up concepts, and that was it.
Okay. And now coming to the months of the for the ESI. Now you said that 4 months are required, like the minimum 4 months are required for the GA part in the phase one. Uh, are only 4 months required for the ESI also, or do you think that more months are required for the current affairs of ESI?
Ideally, if being a aspirant before, that would always help come in handy for them. If I can say that only 4 months was is required, that won't be ideal
Mm.
because see, when I was giving the exam and phase two exam, I was noticing that whatever that I read back in 2018 and 19, those things were also coming handy in that exam because I can remember one question they had asked for about human capital index. What is India's rank in 2018 and how many points it has moved like that. It was completely in that sense. So on that day, I felt that preparing for being an aspirant for a lot of time is actually going to be helpful to them. Even though that is stated, people need to feel confident that at least giving 4 months of current affairs preparation is okay. But if it is even more than that, that is always going to be helpful to them when they're giving exam.
True. So we can say that 4 to 6 months of the current affairs is required for the ESI, but if you are preparing for a lot of time, like 1 year or 2 year, that is also going to help you in the examination, because ESI also has the static part. Is it also has some kind of questions that is asked from way back, like a year back or something. So that is also gonna help if you are trying to do more than 4 months. You are trying to do more than 6 months. That's also. So that is true. Now coming to the descriptive part of the ESI. Now, in the UPSC, it is more writing based, while in RBI, it is more typing based. So, you were comfortable with the interface or the typing?
Yeah, I was comfortable because like I said, I've given multiple banking exams, and even there we used to type, even though it was just about half an hour session for example, for SBI and IBPS PO, there's a descriptive writing session, but it lasts only for about half an hour. So, and I've given moreover NABARD exams quite a few times as well. So, I know about the interface that they are offering me. So I'm very much ready for it as well. And I did though I didn't give so much practice, I was aware about it, and my typing speed was also, if not bad, it's okay.
Okay.
The,
So, we can say that you have talked about the ESI and the descriptive part. And what is a good format of writing an answer, if you can share?
okay. You're asking about the format, right?
Yeah, the format.
Format of writing an answer.
Yes.
Um, for an answer, just like a UPSC answer, for any question, they have to start with the introduction and the body and conclusion, and most importantly, they have to distinguish their answer from all the other answers. So, if I can say an example, I quoted for a question on inflation or things like that. I can remember that in one question in phase two, it was like, what is the monetary policy framework of RBI? That was the question, if I can remember it correctly. And I quoted the governor's statement that was made. I read that governor's statement prior to that exam, and he stated that it is not rigid as well as not flexible. It can take any stance that is required at that time. So I quoted the statement mentioning the governor's name as well in that answer.
Mhm.
So I believe that would play a huge role. You know,
Okay.
that would incite an examiner. Okay, he's not just writing whatever is given in the book. He's analyzing and giving his point of view. So
Yes.
that
That is true. For the answers, like everyone knows the format in a way, but the unique thing that you are adding is the thing that is giving you or fetching you the more marks. Like you have added a quotation or you have added a quote from the RBI governor or the words of the RBI governor. So that shows to the examiner also that, okay, he's reading out of the box, he's giving out of the box answers. So that gives a unique point of view as well as that gives a unique way of thinking for the examiner also. And it's like, okay, I'm reading hundreds of answers, and this is something unique that I have read. Everyone knows the tools, everyone knows the framework in a way, but this is something unique that I have come across. So, that is a good point that you have to have a unique answer and something unique, at least in the answer. So, I think we can now move forward with the finance and management. So, now you said that you started with finance, the management first, because that is the static part. So how are you able to do management, and how are you able to, because management is something unique for a BTech background student, or even if you are in the banking, management was something very different. So how are you able to cope with that?
though it was different, but thanks to EduTap material, they made it very much easy because it was, very much comfort. I was feeling very much comfortable when I read. It wasn't very new to me at all. It was explained in a very, easy to understand manner. So I just by watching all the videos and reading their stuff, I was able to understand and I was able to relate to it, and I was able to understand it and deliver. Yeah.
Okay, so you only focused on one source, that is the EduTap material for the management part, and through that only you were able to clear all everything regarding management. And were you making your own notes also?
No, I just stuck to the summary sheets of editor. I didn't make notes because I was not having time also being a working aspirant.
True. So that is really great. And now coming to the finance, like finance has two parts, we can say. One is static and one is current affairs. Current affairs is also a little typical because it is regarding the RBI notifications, the finance current affair part. That is quite hard to understand for the common aspirant, So how are you able to manage the finance part, both the parts, static and current affair?
Yeah. When it comes to finance, editor material comes handy for aspirants. They are explained in a easy and relatable manner. They are not specifically explaining it from the point of view of financial specialists like that. Even a commoner like me can understand like that. The concepts are explained, and I refer to EduTap material only for finance as well.
Okay. And how important do you think it is to stick to one source, or do you think that multiple sources help?
No. Um, No, even though there are so many sources, I would say aspirants can stick to any one source because the same content is going to be reflecting in all this.
Hmm.
The content is the same, just that there are so many institutions that are there and they are just giving their own point of view about it. But the content is the same, and aspirants can always stick to one content rather than reading so much content because they're not going to be having much time as well. Like
Hmm.
they can stick to one content, and they'll if they are confident about that content, that is sufficient.
True. So you have to, first of all, you have to have a content and you have to have a source and you have to be sure about that source, confident about your source, as well as that you are able to understand that source. So it should be in a very simple kind of language. So you are understanding the source, you have a one concrete source, you trust that source because that is very important. And then you can base your preparation from that only, because going to different sources, it just plays with your mind, we can say that someone is saying something, some other person is saying something, so that like plays with your mind, so that is true. So now coming to the descriptive part of the FM also. So like there were some question that like the global financial, that was in ESI, I guess.
No, I
It was
think
in
it is
finance.
finance. I'm not sure because it is overlapping, and yes,
Yeah,
I am
true.
very much overlapping in it.
But one question I remember, it was something regarding the
Yes,
report.
yes.
Hmm.
Stands like that. India's attempts at for a crisis. Even I'm not very confident about that question. Like
Okay, so but there was a question that I remember that was like from the finance segment, and it was like from current affairs also. Like the financial stability report, you had to quote some facts from the FSR. I remember that. So, what do you think that how important it is to do RBI notifications for the phase two? From the objective point, most of the students do that, but from the descriptive point of view.
even for those notifications are designed for objective as well as descriptive. If they are able to understand all those points that are that are put up in that notification, they can add those points in descriptive answers as well. Just they'll come handy for both of the phases, like for objective as well as descriptive. They can always add those points in their answers, and that will reflect on the answers to be unique.
Yes. So you have to do the RBI notifications from the objective point of view also, and you can code that in the descriptive answer also, or directly can one question can come from the RBI notification also if the something unique has come. So that is true. And again, now I think we can move to the English descriptive part. So were you preparing for the English descriptive, or you were comfortable that I will just go in the exam and everything will be fine?
Yeah. I did that second thing that you mentioned. I didn't prepare anything, but I won't suggest to aspirants. See that I did because I was not having adequate time to do offer time for that preparation because I felt already I was since I've given multiple exams, so I don't think I have to do anything else apart from just sticking to whatever I know. So I didn't give much time for that. But if aspirants, if they feel that they are lagging in that part, they should be offering adequate time for that preparation. I remember I just gave 1 or 2 marks right before the day of my phase two.
Hmm.
That was it. I did nothing apart from that. So I won't suggest that to the aspirants as well. They have to offer adequate time because it gives 1/3 of the phase two marks. So they can get it there. Yeah.
That is true. So I think we have discussed about the phase two completely, and now we can move to the interview part. But before that, will you be are you comfortable with sharing the marks for phase one and phase two, if you remember?
In phase one, I think I've scored about 68 out of 200. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not remembering the exact marks, but I think it is 68. And in phase two, I'm not very sure about the split up of marks. I think it's something like 50 in ESI, 45 to 50 something in ESI, and 62 in the English descriptive. And in FM, it is about 57 or something.
Okay.
I just cleared it in border. Like I just cleared at the cutoff. I didn't, even if I secured 0.5 lesser than that mark, I would have been eliminated. So I was fortunate enough to just clear at that cutoff mark, and I got sufficient marks in the interview so that I was able to make it to the finals.
Yes, you must have got good marks in interview. Like how much was the interview marks, if you can share?
It's 58.
Okay.
So yeah, interview was something that was the savior for me.
Yes, that is like really good marks. So I think we can move forward with the interview. That how was the interview?
Yeah. When I was coming out of the interview hall, I was not feeling very confident of securing this much marks. But yeah, it was grilling and it was good in a good sense. Yeah.
Can you share some of the questions and how were the questions?
Since I am already a banking working professional, most of the questions were related to the banking sector. They started from the very basic of it. They started from they asked me to define a bank.
Hmm.
So they just start from the basic and they just built upon it one by one. And then finally, predominantly, if I can say that my interview was completely revolved around the monetary policy of RBI. Because on one question, I just said something that intrigued the panel members, and they just kept on asking me related to that only. So
Okay.
that was it.
So we can say that your resume as well as what you say, that is very important for the panel to ask the question, because like you are from the banking sector, and that's why they were introduced to ask such kind of questions regarding the bank. Means you should have the basic understanding of the banking. That's what they must have gone for. As well as the second thing is that like what you are saying. So if they are interested about they are interesting about one point, so they will start asking the questions from that also. So you have to be very careful about what you say. So that is also true. So any particular question other than that that you remember from some panel member?
Yeah. there was one question, like, since I was from SBI, they asked, name any two good things about SBI. So that is a very tricky question, actually. From whatever answers that I say, they'll get to know my personality there. If I say
That is
something
true.
about it, they can very much understand my that is a make or break question in my opinion. I have to say some good thing. So I at that point I thought maybe I'd say about customer service. It is getting more and more better. That was one thing that I said. When I was saying that point, I was, getting some amount of frightened. Like people are, known to for a bad customer service in SBI as well. But I said it confidently because whatever service that I am providing, I am very much satisfied that I am providing the best customer service in my branch. So that was why I said that, and I noticed some amount of face change that happened in the interview members. In hindsight, I felt that is a good point that I made there.
Yes, you should have some positive outlook for your organization. I think that's a good point. As well as like you are trying to at least from your behalf, you are trying to make something better. Like if it is not very good, so that is also a good point we can say. And what do you feel that the questions were more technical or the questions were more from your resume, more HR questions we can say?
Depends on the profile of the candidate. As far as my profile is concerned, uh, there was very much scope for them to ask technical stuffs. So
Hmm.
because I'm already working for about more than 1.5 years in banking sector, so already they have a lot to ask in to me. So it was completely technical rounds. Very minimal HR questions were asked.
Okay. So I think we are towards the end of the session and you have told a lot of like good points to the aspirants out there and they must have learned a lot from you. So any message for them?
Yeah. Even in interview, I just want to add one more point. Like in one question, I said like I just praised the RBI's stance like that. So things people have to do all these things as well. Like for example, at that time inflation was rising.
Hmm.
Even today it's rising. But
Yeah.
when I entered at that time when I gave that interview, the inflation that was the main topic that was going in the newspapers. So I expected a lot of questions from that side, and I was prepared as well. So in one of those questions, when they asked what are the steps that are taken by RBI like that, I said these are all the steps, and I finally said thanks to RBI, we are saved here. So if it was not on the part of RBI side, if RBI didn't do its job, then we would have been in trouble.
True.
So even questions like currency depreciation,
Hmm.
I said like even though all the other countries are depreciating, when comparing to them,
Hmm.
the rupee is depreciating much lesser. So even for that, I thanked RBI's decision and stance. So we have to reflect that. We have to reflect our interest and motivation for RBI, so that will have a positive opinion on the book members. So
Yes,
that is.
that is true. So that is like the last thing that you said that was really good and the aspirants should have that in mind that they are going for the RBI interview and they should be motivated from themselves and they should know that okay what RBI does and how it does how it is benefiting the country in a way and like how good it is doing. even though the circumstances are not good with the Russia Ukraine war and the COVID. After COVID there was like much trouble that came. Still the RBI, the country is not in a very bad situation. It is, the inflation is quite high, it is like 7 around, 7% around, but still the RBI is quite managing it. The currency depreciation, again as you said, it is going like 80 above, but still RBI is quite doing so many things that it can do. So yeah, they are taking good stance, and you should be like you should be praising the organization that you are going in, though there should be the criticism, like the positive criticism should also be there. But again, if someone is doing something good, you should praise that. So I think now we can sum it up. Any other thing that you want to add regarding any of the phases, like phase one, phase two, or the interview?
I just need to say that if I can clear, anybody can clear. Even before I was clearing, I was not very sure. I thought RBI is very tough to clear like that. But if I can make it, anybody can make it. It is very much doable, in my opinion. Even being a working aspirant, people will be knowing very much about the work that is there in the banking sector and things like that. So even with that, if one can clear, anybody can clear. It is a very much doable thing that one can, aspirants can, yeah.
That is true. And that is such a good message, also, and a kind of motivation, also. That, yes, anyone can clear it if you are dedicated towards it. If while working, also, there is too much pressure, I can say, that is coming. And still, you were like dedicated, you were consistent, and so you were able to clear. And so, with the dedication, with the consistency, anyone can be able to clear the RBI grade B. They have to have this trust in themselves, also. So, thank you very much, sir, for coming and for
Thank,
giving this interview.
thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.